viewers, welcome to Family Time today, where we believe that two joined together can make it forever by the grace of God. Actually, my wife is echoing there.
Yes.
She is a vice general.
Yes.
And that makes me the general.
That's right.
A lot of people don't know it, but last year I was made a 5-star, not 4-star, not 3-star.
Right.
General. But over the years I've been captain.
Mm-hmm.
And finally my wife woke up and said, that captain is more than a long time. That I deserve to be a general. So I'm the general in my house.
That's right.
The general of the victors, the tribe of victors. And that's the Vice General. Honey, would you introduce yourself?
Well, like you said, I'm the Vice General because, when I promoted him to the General, that means a promotion for me too. I can't stay a captain when I'm married to the General. So now I am the Vice General. My name is May Victor, a name I revere so much and I love so much, honey. If you continue to be good, you probably get you another promotion in a few years.
To the
But
marshal,
we'll think about that. There are some things that he has to do, viewers. I'm letting you all know. When I have checks on those, then he will be promoted again. But by the powers vested in me, as the only wife of this man, I promoted him the general. And he's loving it.
I'm loving it. If one of your checklist is the Bentley, well, I don't know about that.
He's trying to preempt that. He's trying to preempt that list. But I got that list and I'm taking it off. Some he knows and some he doesn't know. So because to go above the general, you got to do something. It may not just be the Bentley.
Okay. Anyway, viewers, we have a good program for us today, and as we've done before, we have our friends Mark and Kathy Cass. They are here with us. They will talk about the challenges of intercultural marriage. Now, this is the second episode of this discussion, so if you're just joining us for the first time, you can go to YouTube or you find a way and watch the first one so you get the whole picture. So Mark and Kathy, you're welcome back.
Thank you.
We had fun the last time.
Yes.
I bet we're going to have even more fun now. Because this is the meat of the story now. Now, we've gone beyond meeting the standards, the criteria. We're wedded. Now, it's no longer romantic stuff from a distance. That when you see her, she's all prime and proper. And Mark is the same thing. Now he lies beside you and he snores.
Yes.
Now his shoes and everything is all over the house.
Yes.
Now, what did we wake up to? Kathy, you said you didn't know what you were getting into. This is you finding out some of the things you were getting yourself into.
Oh yeah, the little things.
It
took me a long time.
Okay.
To I guess adjust. I still don't, but with the grace of God, you just don't major on the minor things.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
So which one is the most annoying? The
annoying or challenging, honey? Don't use that word now. Set her up.
No, Mark is cool with it.
The most annoying. Before we get married, he loves peanut butter and sandwich. Peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's his favorite lunch. And then he would go in the counter, move from counter to counter, crumbs everywhere. Put the peanut butter sandwich in a small plate so it'll have more crumbs. That was very annoying to me.
That was driving you crazy.
Oh yes.
Did you say it?
Especially, I tell him what annoys me and what I don't like, and then sometimes most of the time it will cause more conflict and it goes into something else. But then after a while you just get used to it and try to overcome the little things.
So Mark, Were you like, how can you not love peanut butter and jelly?
What in the world is
wrong with you?
What has crumbs got to do with anything?
I was pretty oblivious to all of that stuff. Crumbs on the floor, whatever, the crumbs. Yeah.
It wasn't your business. You can't see it.
Well, I probably could have seen, but to me it wasn't a big deal. To her, it was a big deal. So yeah, that.
So did we get to a point where we said, okay, since it's a big deal to her, maybe I should make it a big deal too?
Certain things, yeah.
Okay.
There are certain things that I had to come to her side on. There's certain things I still do that annoy her, but yeah, at first I was just like, what are you all upset about?
What in the world?
Get it right.
And we'd get into tit for tat, and then I'd point out stuff that she had sitting around the house, or I cleaned up this after her, or whatever, and it really got ridiculous at one point. But yeah, I think gradually it's just like, what are we even fighting about this for? And you work through some of those little things just by attrition, we fight.
But you know what, like you said, I know a couple who are unfortunately divorced today, but one of the issues the lady had was that her husband came from a very low-income background, and she a higher middle-income background. And in her house, and there, where she grew up, they're used to doing things. Things had their place. You eat on the table. You set the table and you eat on the table. Well, this guy came from a place where you're glad to have food. So the food, he picks up the pot from the stove to the table. There's no plates, nothing in between, because you're hungry, you gotta eat. So, and the lady was always, who in the world eats from the pot? And she will always get on him. Now, she's telling me this story. She will always get on him and get on him. Why would you bring a pot on the table? What happened to the plates? The guy said, I have no time for ceremonies and I have no time for this. The food is made to be eaten, and it doesn't matter how it gets in my stomach as long as it's getting yammed. That's all of it. And she will fuss. Eventually they got, they had all that issues. There were a lot of them. And eventually they got divorced. You know what the lady told me? She said, I want my husband so bad. I don't care if he carried 20 pots on the table.
On the table. He can eat in the bedroom. I
would not even complain about it. And she's like, I made so much mistakes, and I've asked him that I was going to change, and he was not having it. He's married now. So, like you said, we major, like we were saying, sometimes we major on the minor, and then we minor on the major, and those bring conflicts a lot, And for us, 26 years of marriage, 26 years of conflict. I mean, my God.
That's what it is. We still have some that we're dealing with.
But, it's like sometimes you walk through some that present ones, and in the future, some new ones catch up with you, and you got to deal with it.
The older you get, the more some of them manifest.
Right.
Yeah. I do have to say I did have a little help, because when my son came, that really changed the game. And I warned her about that. I said, because she was very meticulous about keeping the house. Everything had to be in perfect order. She's a nurse, so on the floor, that's the way it works. Everything has to have it. And she brought that home. I said, well, you wait till Jeremy's born. And that was a game changer, because pretty soon it was just like, it's not even worth chasing after
now she can't cross at Jeremy.
Now she can't chase after her. And she's chasing after him, and he's making more mess. And she'll have to stop and catch her breath and say, you know what, forget it.
Yeah, God will teach you lessons that you know.
Right.
And we grow. Now, let's talk about the cultural stuff. That what you just described happens to every couple. Now, the dynamics of being from a different culture, what adjustments did you have to make? Let me start from Mark. She's a Filipino lady, you're American. At that time, you hadn't even been to Philippines.
Right.
Probably
Wasn't
didn't
until-
know much about Philippines.
That's true. And later I did find it was interesting because we were at a party and there was a guy there, a Filipino guy, that said, I charge $150 a subscription rate to American men that want to marry Filipino women to teach you what you need to know about marrying a Filipino woman.
Wow, what a business.
I was like, man, if I had known that like 3
I would
years
have-
ago.
You would have saved me some headache.
Yeah, there were definitely changes or things that I wasn't aware of. The obligation, the first thing, probably the obligation to your family back in the Philippines.
Yeah.
That was a big one
Yeah.
that I wasn't expecting. Fortunately for me, when we were in the Philippines, I ran into a bunch of white guys there that were married to Filipinos. And one guy was just bemoaning. He's like, I already paid to fix that roof 5 times and they want more money now. And I think he's using it for some. And I was like, I was fortunate that we weren't to that degree. But there is, and I can't think of the term for it right now, but there is a familial obligation to your relatives back in the Philippines. And it was something that, we did have some conflict over that because I was like, why do we keep sending money to your mom? And that was her thing.
Is there done their work?
Yeah, well, her mother was retired, so I understood that. But yeah, we had some other issues, just like how the family dynamics would work and the expectations of her family. One of the things I think that really helped us was the fact that neither of us were close to either of our families physically.
Okay.
See, my family was actually closer to her family than 2-hour drive from her family up in Chicago, and we're way down here. So there wasn't a lot of constant
Interference.
familial influence.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you were let alone to deal with marriage by yourself.
Yeah, a lot. Except when they would come to visit. But yeah, for the most part, we had to just figure things out. I mean, there were differences in food. There were differences in the expectations. For example, there's a party, we have to go to it. I was like, why? Well, we have to go to it. And there's like, they came to our party, we have to go to theirs. When you're buying gifts, there's a minimum. There's a minimum amount that the gift has to be.
Say why it's a gift.
It's like, yeah.
Let me ask Kelly now, because that's something that always comes up. And I just want to ask you so that you will think about it. We'll break for the next episode. Now, what always comes up between intercultural marriages is the money issue.
Mm-hmm.
How we need to support our family. We deal with that to Africans because we have an obligation to send money, not just to parents, sometimes to brothers, sometimes we're paying school fees, sometimes there are other things. And for a lot of Americans and Europeans, they don't understand that. The question that I have for you is, were you aware that this is a problem? And if you knew, how did you break it down to your husband so that at least he will understand? And we'll talk about that as we come back. Viewers will be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back, viewers. We were talking about challenges of intercultural, cross-cultural marriages. And we have our friends with us today, Mark and Kathy Cass. Kathy, before we took that break, I was asking you the issue of money and supporting family back home, extended family. I think the Philippines are pretty much like most African countries. We live here, but we have obligations. Sometimes we build houses for them, pay school fees, buy them car, do all those things. The Americans don't do all that. Now, how did you just tell him I have to send money, or did you sit down and say, they trained me, they sent me to school,
Yeah.
I didn't take a loan, so
That's
I need to do this.
I explained I think what I told him was like, when we were growing up, our parents paid for everything. And now that we're able to have some financial freedom, that it's time for me to kind of like pay it. I mean, not pay, but like help or like get them more comfortable. Like being able to, because like when we're in college, they didn't have much sacrifices that they couldn't buy this, buy that, or go there and eat this or eat that because they were paying for education. Now that I have a job, then I can be able to send them money to help, and then they can enjoy little things. And then the way I explained that to my mother, because they were not, my mother was not really like 100% sure that I should be marrying somebody from a different culture. And I would just tell her, like, at least if you need to ask money from me, you can ask me and he will never understand. How much you
language. We can talk about
a different language.
That's a smart one. That's a smart one. So did Mark get it?
In the beginning, like it's like we need to drive to the bank to send the money. Well, he didn't understand that, but after a while, I don't know how long it took you. Like
a while.
It was a while, and like okay.
But she also sold it on me because when we did go to the Philippines, then I could see like there was an instance where this older guy was courting a younger lady, and the whole family went up to the room, I guess, to interview, and she's like, see, this is what it could be like. You could have all of these other people that you have to support. In my case, it's just my mother and my one sister.
Oh, well, that is good.
Well.
So you said, thank God, it's just them.
That's a good one. Now, some people are like 10 in their house, in their family, and she could be the first out of 10 kids.
Yeah.
And some of them are in college.
Support 9 other kids.
Mark is breathing hard.
Some of them are in college.
Some of them are in college.
Some of them are jobless.
Yes.
Some are getting married.
Yeah, we also have the same, culture. Now, being in an intercultural, marriage, I guess I should ask you a leading question, but the differences, are they, looking at it now, are they easier to manage? Like easier to get through with, or is it really, really hard? Because there are some viewers here that are watching us, and there are some African people that are probably dating white people or Hispanics, culture, and they're thinking in their head, should I go ahead or not? There are some parents that are like saying to their kids, you must marry an African, you must marry Hispanic. You know what I mean? So, if you were to kind of like talk about this, is it doable?
I think it is, but I think the problem, if the issues you're gonna have in marriage is not about what culture you're coming from. It's just human nature that we're all have our own issues, and it's regardless of our race or where you came from. It can be a factor on how you resolve issues in the marriage, but I don't think it's something that insurmountable.
Okay, so it's doable. What do you think, Mark, looking through 13 years or even beyond of relationship with an intercultural relationship, what do you think?
I think it's been great because I think it's broadened both of our horizons.
Right.
Neither of us, we're the only ones in either of our family that are married to somebody from another culture.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had followed in that family line, I never would have got to visit the Philippines.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't have been involved in a Filipino church and the ministry that involved. So it's been very eye-opening. It's been enjoyable to learn about her culture, and even to the point where we can joke about things without offending each other. In both of our cultures, we look at things and say, that doesn't make any sense. And I feel like we've transcended that now. We're not at, well, your identity is in your culture, my identity is in my culture and my race or anything like that. I think what we're trying to work toward is that our identity is in Christ.
That's right.
And so it transcends now all of the things that we cherished or held onto in our respective cultures, and we're willing to let that go because there's a bigger picture. And I think that's the point where it took us a long time to get to that, because it almost felt like we were keeping each other from it. We didn't really understand what the purpose of marriage was, and that the purpose of marriage was for more than being happy, but that God was using it to make us holy, and that He was sanctifying us in the marriage, and that while we brought out the worst in each other, these were things God wanted us each to deal with. I mean, in every relationship, we're going to butt heads and bring out the worst. And then we were talking earlier about about being equally yoked. And if you're not equally yoked, the way that you deal with that's going to be tremendously different. And so now I think we've been through so much together, and just the cultural stuff really, it's not a detriment at all. I don't see it as holding either of us back at this point.
That's wonderful. Coming from an American, you better believe it. Yes,
Well,
I mean that's really
great.
that's very interesting. So then, my question is, if you were to talk to a viewer, there's a couple to be, and they're watching this episode, and they're on the verge of, should we not? What is that one major advice that you're gonna give to them? You know, besides making God the centerpiece, which I know just kind of covers everything, but coming down to reality practically, what would be, and we'll take from you, we'll take from Mark, you know, talking to that lady, what would be your major,
I think for a marriage to survive, it needs a lot of prayers. But before you go into that jump, you gotta go find somebody who can counsel you, guide you, and see if it's the right time or if it's the right person that you're going to marry. Because I think that's gonna be that's a big factor for a marriage to last. Some godly people that can guide you through the process, I think, is what I'm saying.
It's awesome.
Premarital
so you're saying get counseling.
Get counseling, yes.
Get counseled about it.
And get a mentor.
Get a mentor, somebody to walk you through it, so that when the challenges come in, you're not
Just
shaking out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're shaking out, but not shaking out. You know. So, and then what is your take on this? What would you advise a young man, Mark, who is about to get engaged to someone that is not from their culture?
I think that's great advice. Is you've got to have somebody. I would advise you to first understand that culture.
Okay.
Because that will resolve a lot of misunderstandings that result in fights that you don't even need to have. And secondly, I really like that idea that you just brought up of getting a mentor, because you're going to hit some stuff. You go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I got myself into this. This is the worst thing ever. This is the end of the world. And then you're going to be able to talk to that mentor and go, oh no, this happens. This is real life. We've been through this. You can make it through this. That's really important to be able to hear from the outside, is when you hit something that you've never encountered before and it looks overwhelming, and you're praying and you're not seeing any answers maybe, but that you have somebody that can actually, you can go to, trust, and they'll guide you through that and let you know this is normal, you can make it through this. And I'm going to help you. I think that's key.
That's wonderful. That's great. One thing I see on this relationship too is I see openness. You know, like you would not believe it. Like you talk about sending money and helping people overseas. There are couples who are the same culture. The man still doesn't know that his wife is sending money to England.
She hides and does it.
She hides and does it. I mean, they speak the same language. They're from the same culture.
Probably from the same village.
From the same city. But still, that man or that woman is still keeping this a secret from their spouse. So it's not just about, intercultural. It's about the human nature. Like she mentioned, people will hide and complicate things for themselves. But I see that you guys, at least you're open to him about, even though it takes you a while to explain, he doesn't understand it, but it was nice for you to say, this is the way it is. So that's
awesome.
very commendable.
Viewers, our time is pretty much gone. You talk about openness. I was going to ask them about openness. One of the things we have in African culture is that women are not expressive sexually. Americans are. So I'm not going to ask Mark, but I was going to ask Kathy, but we don't have time. Hopefully we will come back and talk about, because African women are trained and raised to be a little bit reserved, conservative. You're not supposed to ask your husband for intimacy. That's like saying you are too forward. And all those things. And the Americans find that to be absurd. Why wouldn't you say what you need? But that's the way they are trained. But viewers, our time is gone for today. We will be back. We will talk about other issues. Mark and Kathy, once more, I've enjoyed this. I wish you guys were staying forever so that we can just have this, go at it every day. But I know you will come back. And then we'll talk about the meaning of marriage that you talked about. The Vice General, would you say bye to the viewers?
From me is thank you, viewers, for watching. And we'll see you same time, same station next week. Thank you very much.
Next time, viewers. Bye-bye.